Before you book your next hotel room, listen, this is a warning from the road. It's about two people who thought they were safe. It's about a hotel with rules that should not exist. And it's about a night that turned the place of rest into a place that haunts. Agnes and Edward arrived late. The rain had wiped the town clean. Streets looked tired. The hotel sign bruised and blinked. They laughed at the cheap sign. They were wet and hungry and tired. We need a bed and food. Please, Edward. Agnes said tiredly. Edward replied gently. Just for this one night, we will sleep. Then tomorrow morning, we shall continue our journey. Edward said tiredly. They walked in. The lobby smelled of lemon and old wood. The front deck man smiled, but his eyes did not smile back. The lobby had a small board with rule. The rules are old. Agnes and Edward did not read them closely. Room service? The man asked. He pointed to a menu. The menu had a dish that sounded like home. At the bottom of the board, in a small type, a line read, No exist after midnight. Doors locked. Please respect the hotel hours. They thought it was a mistake. Maybe local law. Maybe old building rules. It says no exist after midnight. That is weird. Maybe they mean no loud noise, Agnes said, laughing. Just maybe, Edward also replied. Let's get to bed. The rain will feel better in the morning. They signed for the room. A tiny bellboy took their bags. He gave a smile that was too wide. The corridor smelled faintly of lemon and dust. The clock in the lobby read midnight when they reached their door. The door was small and clean. The curtains were heavy and dark. The bell looked soft. They shut the door and breathed. The rain thinned. The city quieted. They ordered soup from the menu, something that tasted like home. They ate quietly. They slept, thinking the night would be normal. In the middle of the night, a sound woke them. A low knocking came from the hallway outside their door. It was slow at first. Then it became a soft dragging. Agnes sat up. Edward listened. The knock was not wood on the wood. It was a sound like someone trying to open doors, as if they did not know which one belonged to them. Did you hear that? Agnes whispered. Edward replied softly. Probably someone else is in the hall. Maybe the bellboy. Maybe he's checking on rooms. They listened. The knocking stopped. A silence fell, heavy and wrong. Then, very softly, something tapped the glass of the window. From the outside, the window was high. There were no balcony. Agnes felt cold. Agnes asked nervously, who would be outside this hour? Edward replied calmly, maybe a stranger looking for shelter. I will check the door, he said. Edward got up. He opened the door. The hallway was empty. The lights in the corridor were dim. A faint smile of lemon and something hot moved past the door. The clock at the hallway showed that it was past 1. As Edward closed the door, he saw on the wall, near the lift, a small framed sign he had not noticed before. It read, Guests must not leave between midnight and sunrise. He froze. It felt like a warning, not a rule. They tried to sleep again. The room seemed to breathe. The television at the corner flickered and showed the hallway, but not the hotel hallway. A dark corridor with many doors. Inside the TV, a shadow crossed the line and it disappeared. At 2 a.m. in the morning, the knock came again. At this time, something hit the door as if it was trying to get in. They held together in the bed. Agnes hugged the blankets tight. Then the knocking turned into scratching. The sound made the wall shiver. Agnes said to her husband, Edward, please don't open the door. Edward replied shaking, I'm not opening anything. They laid still. The scratching changed into a whisper, a voice, or many voices, pressing against the door, breathing through the wood. The voices sounded like names. names Agnes and Edward did not know, and then a voice that nearly sounded like a neighbor's laugh. The door handle turned slowly, as if someone was trying to nibble from the inside. Agnes felt the room close in. She tried the light switch, but the lamp only blinked. The radio in the corner began to play a song that neither of them knew, a slow, hollow tune. They had chilled. On the bed, Edward's hand shook as he reached under the pillow. He found a small note folded inside. It says in neat hands, "Do not leave under sunrise." No signature, no explanation. "This is wrong," Edward whispered, but she called the desk man. He picked up the phone. The line was dead. He went to the door and opened it. The hallway was different. The carpet that has been seen blue was now darker color. The lights were dim and yellow as if the bulb were tired. Down the corridor, the front desk was closed and the glass counter was covered with a cloth. No one was at the desk. Only the chair sat under a lamp, and the chair had someone's coat draped over it, but no person. Then they heard the soft sound behind them. The door to their room closed on itself, gently but with authority. The lock clicked. The key in Edward's hand was gone. They were inside, and the hall had no word. "We are locked," Agnes said, shaking. "The key, where has it gone?" Edward panicked. "We must call someone. Someone must be awake." They pounded on the door. They shouted down the hallway. No answer. The reception bed was silent. The only sound was the echo of their voices and a whisper that went down the corridor as if something had heard and walked away. They tried opening the window, but it was stuck. The curtain would not pull. The room felt like a box. In the corner, the mirror seemed to breathe. Agnes saw a reflection, then saw the reflection blink slower than she did. Her heart tumbled. She reached towards the glass. The reflection smiled when she did not. "No!" Agnes screamed. She stumbled back and fell hard. Edward grabbed her. For a moment, the floor felt like it was moving under them. Agnes crashed into a chair and slid to the ground. Pain shot through her knee. She had not expected to fall this way. Panic rose like hot water. The hours stretched. The night turned long and mean. The radios hummed strange sounds. The shadow kissed the corners. When they closed their eyes, they saw shapes moving behind the curtain. Agnes whispered prayers she had not said since she was a child. Edward tried to hold her, but his finger felt like they belonged to someone else. Edward said softly, "It's okay, we just have to wait. It's almost morning." Morning should have come. The clock showed 3. They had moved, but the light did not change. The sky outside was thick, oil grey. The hotel clock was at 4. It was slow, hollow, and it echoes backward. The corridor outside the door seems longer than before. When they listened at the door, they could hear footsteps walking slow. Then turning and walking the other way as if searching for something that was not there. At 5, they finally heard a key at the end of the hall. The bellboy came by, carrying a tray. He stopped at their door. He looked at them with a smile that did not reach his eyes. "Good morning, ma." "Good morning, sir. The hotel keeps its hour. Sunrise is later today. Please be careful," said the bellboy. Agnes said, angry and scared. "You said the door opened at sunrise. It's almost sunrise." The bellboy said pleasantly, "Sunrise depends on the house. The house decides. Please relax. Many find comfort here," he said. His hand pushed a small tray under the door. On it was a cup of tea and a small card. "We protect our guests at night," it says. "Please do not open your doors." The bellboy smiled and walked away. His footsteps took longer than they should. The corridor light flickered once, twice, then steadied. The hour crawled. Strange thing kept happening. The television would show a tiny woman walking on the staircase that was not in the hotel. The phone would ring, and on the other hand, there would only be breathing, not human breathing, but Something that sounded older. The closest door would open and close slowly. Agnes and Edward stood calm, even though they were afraid. They were waiting calmly for morning to come. They thought daylight would free them, but the hotel would not answer to the sun. It answered to its own clock. The hotel rules were like teeth. They closed at night, and sometimes they did not open again. Edward said frustrated, "This is wrong. We paid. We are guests. Open the door." They banged loudly at the door. The hallway became alive with a soft knock and a whisper from others' room. Not all rooms had answer. Some had someone who had answered, but the voices were thin and far away. When the morning finally came, or when they thought it was morning, the door opened itself. The corridor was pale, but not with sunlight. It was pale like old paper. The staff arrived, their faces smooth, their smiles polite. They acted as if nothing odd had happened. "Good morning," a manager said politely. "I hope you rested well. We have coffee in the lounge." Edward replied to them cold. "We were locked in. The key disappeared. We were scared." The manager replied with a slight smile. Agnes and Edward left the hotel. They stepped into a wet street that had a bright sun. They felt hollow, but they were alive and free. But in the days that followed, their life changed. Little things slipped. Not in the way of memories, but in how they felt. A corner of Agnes' laugh at the new hedge. Edward's sleep at holes. They avoided staying in hotels for a long time. They told the story to their friends. Some believed them, some joked and laughed it out. Agnes said to her friends, "If an hotel tells you to stay and the rule seems odd, believe your skin. If the man at the desk smiles and his eyes do not go to your room." Some hotels are kind, some hosts are good people, but some houses have teeth. They keep hours that are not human and lock that are not for safety. They wear polite faces and they do not open for you when you need to leave. If you travel, always read rules. If a board says no exit after midnight, do not take it lightly. Ask why. Look for a manager. Check reviews. They mention strange hours. If something feels wrong, the smell, the sign, and the curtain that move when no one is near. Leave. Trust a small voice in your chest that says get out. Some people will say it's just an old building or a series of bad nights. Some will laugh at the idea of hotels that act like trap. But Agnes and Edward know the truth. They felt the weight of that night on their skin. They felt they were scared as hell. They still wake sometimes and check the locks. So, before you book your next hotel, watch closely, read beyond glossy. Watch the faces at the decks, look at the hours. If it asks you to stay, when the word says go, listen to your scale. This is the end of the story. Thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to like the story,